I know how challenging it can be to feel grounded and present in a world full of noise. But today I'm going to help you do just that. Hi, I'm Lucy and I'm here to help you live by design, not distraction. So let's get into it. To be present means to be fully in the moment. It's about embracing those smaller and simple moments as well as those big moments and cherishing those moments that mean the most to us. It's that feeling when life comes alive. It's where our life actually happens. Our mind isn't in the past, it isn't in the future, it isn't distracted by anything. It's right there soaking up that moment. And it's so difficult because of our mind's tendency to be distracted. And in a world of so much distraction, we're living less and less in the present moment and becoming more and more preoccupied. So the first thing we can do to bring more presence to our life is something called batching or task batching. We often think, oh, I'll just check this message and then I can get back to my task afterwards. It's no big deal. But the reason that these seemingly small distractions have such an impact is because they require task switching or context switching, which means flipping from one activity to another back and forth. This requires your brain to constantly play catch up and recalibrate every time you return back to that task that you're wanting to focus on. Perhaps your phone buzzes with a new message and you can't resist checking it. Or perhaps you hear your email notification go off and you think, oh, let's just quickly have a look at that. Or perhaps someone calls you when you're in the middle of dinner with your family and suddenly you're no longer in that present moment. So this task switching makes it near impossible to be fully present in each activity you engage in. And it provides so many opportunities for your subconscious brain to go, oh, while I'm here, I might as well check Instagram. And we all know where that can lead and how long it can lead us down the rabbit hole. So batching is where you allocate a chunk of time to similar tasks to complete all at once to reduce task switching. So for example, you could batch checking and responding to emails for one half-an-hour chunk of time at lunchtime, for example. Or you could allow yourself time on Instagram, but only for 15 minutes at 5 p.m. after work each day. So you can see how this works. It sort of creates this very intentional container for those activities. And this means that you can fully immerse yourself in each activity you do and experience it to the fullest because you know that's when you're going to do your batching task. You've set the time to do that activity and you don't need to think about it until that point. And this will allow you to become more present and more attentive. So have a think about what you could batch and see if you can implement that this week and see how it goes. So next up is mindful gratitude. If you find yourself feeling disconnected from a moment that you really want to be engaged in, such as a family dinner or a film night, you know, when you're watching a movie, but you're not watching a movie because you're on your phone instead, or perhaps it's simply that you're ruminating or overthinking something that may have just happened or that is going to happen in the future. So in these moments where we're not fully connected with what we want to be focusing on, try this exercise. Take a deep breath, put down anything in your hands, phone, whatever it might be, and then I just want you to focus on something that makes you smile. And this could be in your mind or it could be in your environment. So if you're outside, it might be a beautiful tree or your kids playing, or it might simply be something you're wearing, a beautiful dress, for example. It's just anything that you find beauty or joy or just contentment in. So I just want you to focus on that. Just soak in that moment, however simple it may be, even if things feel a bit overwhelming. But in this very moment right here, you can be calm. And I want you to say to yourself in this moment, I am safe, I am grateful, and this is a beautiful moment. Just let that gratitude wash over you and breathe it all in. My third tip is to prioritize your priorities. And this may sound really obvious, but hear me out. We're stuck in this kind of tug of war between the things that really matter to us and the things that don't really matter to us, but on which we've placed a huge importance. And often those are in the form of distractions, like social media. When we have things that steal our attention so easily, it's easy to lose sight of our priorities in that moment. But until we're clear about what our true priorities are, and we have clarity around that, and we are intentional with our time, it's so easy to let distractions pull us out of those moments that we actually want to be fully immersed in. But because we're so bombarded right now, and everyone's like, this is what you should be focusing on, this is what you need to do, this is how you should look, whatever it is, we've lost sight of what our own priorities are. And that can often take us away from being able to fully immerse ourselves in the present moment. So a simple example would be that you're on a walk, but you end up missing a lot of it because you're either on your phone to check emails or whatever it might be, or even taking photos sometimes can take us away from that present moment because we're looking at it through a screen rather than actually looking at it with our eyes. But when you actually think about it, immersing yourself in nature and these nature walks are things that you really want to do. It's something that brings you true, genuine joy. And that's so important. You want to be prioritizing that stuff and allowing yourself to fully experience those things that mean the most to you. Whether it's breathing in that fresh air or looking at that tree against the blue sky, whatever it is, do not miss those moments because this is your life. The present moment, right here, right now, this is your life. And you want to make sure that you can soak in those moments as much as possible whenever you're able to. So I want you to start prioritizing and to be present for your priorities. And if you want help doing this, I've created a free guided journal to do just that. The journal will help you to become more intentional with your time, to reprioritize your priorities, and to have more clarity and presence. So make sure you click the link in the comments below, and I hope you find it really valuable. Next up is tip number 4, which is to embrace discomfort. Sometimes we need to lean more into the uncomfortable moments without pushing that moment away or distracting ourselves with scrolling or whatever it may be. And you might be thinking, I've gone a bit mad. But the reason for this is because we often shut off the ability to actually experience positive moments from those more uncomfortable moments. For example, I've often found myself reaching for my phone when I'm faced with a task that feels really overwhelming, a bit like filming this YouTube video. But I needed to lean into that discomfort because otherwise I was just pushing it down the road and making it more overwhelming than it was originally. And another example is boredom. We all experience boredom. And I was in a waiting room recently and I decided I'm not going to look at my phone. Instead, I'm going to read the flyers in that waiting room. And I learned so much about local events and all sorts of things that I wouldn't have done on my phone, where I probably would have just played Wordle or something. So although this is an incredibly mundane example, it turned it from a waiting moment into a much richer moment in a simple sort of way. So I want you to start leaning more into discomfort because very often that's where the magic happens. And something that can really help with that is journaling, which leads me nicely on to number 5, where I'm going to share with you some journal prompts. Now, I know that everyone talks about journaling, and you're probably very bored of it, but hear me out. Journaling is so powerful. It can help ease your anxiety, it can increase your happiness, your positivity, your optimism. It's absolutely something that you should have in your toolkit. And if you're an overthinker like me, it's incredibly helpful because overthinking is something that places you either in a past scenario, a future scenario, but it never really allows you to be present in this scenario, this present scenario. So here are 3 journal prompts that I use to help me live more in the present. Number 1 is a simple starter prompt. I simply want you to list 3 things that you're grateful for, and I want you to smile while you're doing it. Number 2, I want you to reflect on a moment where you felt fully present in the past. What were the circumstances? How did you feel in that moment? And what made it so special? And finally, I want you to think about your current daily routines and habits. Which ones help you to feel really connected to your life, where your mind feels centered and you don't feel compelled to reach for your phone or turn on the TV. You're not ruminating about the past or worried about the future. Even if it's just a tiny thing in your day, like drinking a coffee or having a shower. Where do you feel most connected to your life and the present moment? And how can you bring more of that into your daily life? So I really hope that all of these tips will help you to feel more present. Comment below and let me know which one you're going to start implementing first. And don't forget to download your free guided journal that will help you pinpoint exactly where you're losing time and energy each day. I share the simple clarity system that I use to refocus my life on the stuff that matters most and to help me be more present. And I've also included lots of journal prompts to help you live with more intention. I'll see you in the next video.